we can be satisfied through Jesus Christ. That is what his death and ascension have taught us, that we receive satisfaction in the fact that Jesus was placed on the cross for us to give us salvation. And that should be the fullness of life. But all in all, it is that we are too full sometimes. And sometimes we don't make the time to empty ourselves, to be reconciled with the Lord. To make my point, I'll share a story of my own personal life. Now, you all are aware of the movie Fried Green Tomatoes. Well, this is the story of refried beans. You know, in my house, my grandmother spent so much time making the usual staple of frijoles. The time that it would take to separate them so that you take the bad ones out and place the good ones, and then you would place them in a caso, or you would place them in a charola, and you would cook them with water. You know, you'd clean them, and then you would begin to boil them. And then as they were boiling, my grandmother would take a piece of jamon, lots of fat on it, and cut it in pieces, and place it in there as it was boiling. And sometimes, instead of putting water, we'd put una cervecita inside the beer. And you know, and after a while, you'd be smelling those frijoles, and they'd have tomatoes in it, and cilantro, and a little bit of cebollita, and maybe a touch of jalapenos in it. And they were bien calduditos and wonderful. And you would eat them like a soup. Then, you would place them inside the refrigerator, and the next day they would have manteca on top. They would have fat, lard, about that thick, about an inch thick. And they would pull out the sartén and place it on top of the stove and put some more manteca inside the sartén. And then a little bit of flour. And then take a scoop of frijoles and another scoop and mash them up and make frijoles refritos. Now, there would always be a little clump of frijoles refritos left. And it looked like a chocolate rock. Now, I never understood why, and it never made any sense to me. Why would my grandmother take that little piece of chocolate rock and place it inside Mexican Tupperware? Now, you do know what Mexican Tupperware is, don't you? It's the one that goes parquet, you know? It doesn't burp. Well, by the end of the week, you know, we would be examining inside the refrigerator what we needed from an H-E-B or Ralph's Foodland, whichever we would go to. And inside you would find those 7 little Mexican Tupperwares with 7 little hard Mexican refried beans, frijoles. The moral of my story is you do not eat refried beans. And it is the same with us. We must empty ourselves totally to be able to receive the grace of God. We must empty ourselves in reconciliation and set aside everything that we have done that is wrong. Because that is how we begin to love and nurture ourselves. Because if we are not empty to love ourselves, then we cannot love others. What we continue to produce is hate. We can't deliver love because we don't have love for ourselves. And so we must find that love within ourselves. And the love that God has to offer to all of us.